Revenge is best served cold.
My wife texted, "Late dinner with clients? I need to close some deals. Don't wait up." I replied, "Enjoy the lobster. Tell Rick to check his stock portfolio." She called instantly, voice shaking, Rick screaming in the background. That's when I knew for certain what I'd suspected for months. My name is Lucas Grady, Luke to everyone who matters, and I'm about to tell you how I destroyed my cheating wife and her arrogant lover using nothing but patience, intelligence, and a healthy dose of calculated revenge. This isn't some fantasy where the good guy wins through luck or coincidence. This is real life, where the smart guy wins by being smarter than everyone else in the room. I'm 38, CEO of a fintech startup called Grady Tech Solutions, and until 6 months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. Beautiful wife Charlotte, brilliant 17-year-old daughter Megan, nice house in Millbrook, Maine, one of those upper-middle-class towns where everyone knows everyone's business but pretends they don't. Charlotte was my everything. 36, senior attorney at Morrison, Klein & Associates, the kind of woman who could argue a case in court and then charm a room full of investors at dinner. Tall, blonde, sharp as a razor, and cold as winter when she wanted to be. I fell for her in law school, back when I thought her ambition was attractive instead of terrifying. The affair started 4 months ago. I know because I'm not an idiot, despite what Charlotte and her friends think. When your wife of 18 years suddenly starts working late 3 nights a week, buys new lingerie she never wears at home, and begins guarding her phone like it contains nuclear launch codes, you pay attention. Rick Dalton is everything I'm not. Tall, handsome, smooth-talking CEO of Dalton Financial Group, my biggest business rival. While I built my company through careful planning and smart investments, Rick inherited his daddy's firm and ran it like a fraternity house. Arrogant, entitled, and stupid enough to think he could steal my wife without consequences. The irony? Rick's company has been hemorrhaging clients for months, and he doesn't even know I'm the reason why. Every late dinner Charlotte had with her clients gave me another evening to work my magic, poaching Rick's biggest accounts with better rates and superior service. By the time he figures out what hit him, Dalton Financial will be a footnote in the business section. But that's just the appetizer. The main course is coming. I'm sitting in my home office now, a converted bedroom on the second floor of our Victorian house, watching Charlotte's car pull into the driveway. It's 11:47 p.m. Her client dinner ran late again. Through the window, I can see her checking her makeup in the rearview mirror, smoothing her hair. She's good at this game. I'll give her that. Too bad I'm better. The front door opens with that familiar squeak I've been meaning to fix for 2 years. Charlotte's heels click across the hardwood floor of the foyer, then pause. She's probably noticing the dinner I left set for 2 on the dining room table, complete with candles, wine, and her favorite salmon dish, now cold and congealed. "Luke?" Her voice carries up the stairs, honey sweet with just a hint of concern. "I'm home." I don't answer. Let her wonder. More footsteps, faster now, heading toward the kitchen. The refrigerator opens and closes. She's probably looking for a note, some explanation for the romantic dinner she missed. There isn't one. My phone buzzes with a text from Charlotte. "Where are you? Saw the dinner. So sorry I missed it." I type back, "Upstairs. Come up when you're ready to talk." 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. She's typing and deleting, trying to figure out the right response. Finally, "Be right there." While I wait, I pull up the folder on my laptop labeled Insurance. Inside are 4 months' worth of carefully gathered evidence. Not hacked emails or illegally obtained recordings. I'm not stupid enough to break the law. Just publicly available information, credit card statements from our joint account, and a few choice photographs taken in public places where there's no expectation of privacy. My favorite is from last Tuesday night. Charlotte and Rick at Chez Laurent, the most expensive restaurant in town, sitting at a corner table, his hand covering hers. They look so happy, so in love, so completely unaware that the businessman at the bar taking photos of his dinner was actually documenting their affair. Charlotte appears in the doorway, still in her business suit, looking every inch the successful attorney. Her smile is perfect, practiced, the same one she uses on juries. "Hey, honey, I'm so sorry about dinner. The meeting ran incredibly late, and you know how these clients can be." She moves toward me, arms outstretched for a hug. I don't stand up. "How is Rick?" She freezes mid-step. For just a second, her mask slips, and I see something flicker across her face. Fear, maybe, or calculation. Then the smile returns, brighter than before. Rick? I don't know what you mean. Rick Dalton, your client. The one you've been having late dinners with 3 times a week for the past 4 months. I turn my laptop screen toward her. The photo from Chez Laurent fills the display. The one whose hand you're holding in this picture. Charlotte stares at the screen for a long moment. When she looks back at me, the pretense is gone. Her eyes are ice cold, calculating. This is the woman who destroys opposing counsel in court, who negotiates million-dollar deals without blinking. It's not what it looks like, she says finally. I laugh, actually laugh, which seems to surprise her more than the photograph did. Charlotte, please don't insult my intelligence. We both know exactly what this looks like because that's exactly what it is. I close the laptop and lean back in my chair. The question is, what are we going to do about it? She sits down on the edge of our bed, suddenly looking older, more tired. Luke, I never meant for this to happen. Rick and I, we just connected. You've been so busy with your company and I've been working these long hours and we just started talking. I nod thoughtfully. Is that what they're calling it now? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks more like you've been systematically destroying our marriage while I've been working to support our family. That's not fair. Fair? I stand up now, feeling 18 years of marriage crystallizing into this single moment. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been coming to me when you started having feelings for someone else. Fair would have been asking for a divorce before you started sneaking around. Fair would have been not using our joint credit card to pay for romantic dinners with your lover. Charlotte's composure cracks. You've been spying on me? I've been paying attention. There's a difference. I move to the window, looking out at our quiet neighborhood. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? The late nights, the new clothes, the way you flinch when I touch you? I'm not blind, Charlotte. I'm just patient. So what now? Her voice is smaller now, less certain. Are you going to file for divorce? Try to take Megan away from me? I turn back to face her. Oh, Charlotte, you still don't understand, do you? This isn't about divorce. This isn't about custody. This is about consequences. The fear is back in her eyes now, real and unmistakable. What do you mean? I mean that actions have consequences. You chose to have an affair with my biggest business rival. You chose to lie to me for months. You chose to humiliate me in front of our friends and colleagues. I smile, and I can see her shiver. Now I get to choose what happens next. She stands up, backing toward the door. Luke, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. Because tomorrow morning, Rick Dalton is going to wake up to discover that his company is bankrupt, his reputation is destroyed, and his future is in my hands. And you, my dear wife, are going to learn what it feels like to lose everything you care about. Charlotte runs then, her heels clicking frantically down the stairs. I hear the front door slam, her car start, tires squealing as she speeds away into the night. I sit back down at my computer and open a new document. At the top, I type, Phase 2, The Reckoning. Then, I start making a list. The next morning, I'm in my basement workshop by 6 a.m., surrounded by 3 monitors, 2 laptops, and enough legal documents to choke a horse. Most people see this room as my hobby space. Old workbench, tool pegboard, the remnants of various weekend projects I never finished. What they don't see is the sophisticated computer setup hidden behind a false wall, or the fireproof safe containing 18 years' worth of financial records, insurance policies, and legal documents. I call it my war room, and today the war begins in earnest. Charlotte never came home last night. Her car isn't in the driveway, and she hasn't answered any of my calls or texts. I'm betting she spent the night at Rick's place, crying on his shoulder, planning their next move. Let them plan. I've had 4 months to prepare for this moment. My phone rings. Megan. Dad? Where's Mom? She was supposed to drive me to school this morning. My daughter. Brilliant, observant, completely innocent in all this mess. The one person I'm determined to protect, no matter what it costs. Mom had an early meeting, sweetheart. I'll drive you. I save my work and head upstairs. Give me 10 minutes. Megan is waiting by the front door, backpack slung over one shoulder, looking exactly like her mother did at that age. Same blonde hair, same sharp intelligence in her green eyes. But where Charlotte learned to use her gifts as tools, Megan still sees the world as a place where problems can be solved through honest effort and good intentions. I pray she never has to learn otherwise. Dad? She buckles her seatbelt as I back out of the driveway. Is everything okay? You and Mom seemed tense lately. Smart girl. Too smart sometimes. Your mother and I are working through some issues, I tell her, which is technically true. Nothing for you to worry about. Are you getting divorced? The question hits me like a physical blow. I pull over to the curb and turn to face her. Megan, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Whatever happens between your mother and me, it has nothing to do with you. We both love you more than anything in this world. That will never change no matter what. She nods, but I can see the worry in her eyes. I know. It's just, some of my friends' parents got divorced and it was really ugly. I don't want that to happen to us. It won't, I promise. And I mean it. Whatever else happens, I won't let this destroy my relationship with my daughter. I won't let it. After dropping Megan at school, I drive to the Blue Heron, Millbrook's only real bar. It's the kind of place where the regulars know everyone's business, and the bartender doubles as the town's unofficial information broker. At 9 a.m., it's mostly empty except for a few retirees nursing coffee and reading newspapers. Tommy Brennan is behind the bar, same as he has been for the past 15 years. Ex-cop, ex-Marine, current keeper of secrets. He looks up as I walk in, raises an eyebrow. Little early for you, isn't it, Luke? Coffee's fine. I slide onto a bar stool. I'm actually looking for information. Tommy pours me a cup of coffee that could strip paint. What kind of information? The kind that involves Rick Dalton and my wife. He doesn't even blink. Figured you'd find out eventually. You want the details or just confirmation? Details. Tommy leans against the bar, lowering his voice, even though we're practically alone. Started about 4 months ago. Rick's been coming in here bragging about his new conquest. Real classy guy, your wife's boyfriend. Talks about her like she's some kind of trophy. My jaw tightens, but I keep my voice steady. What else? He's been buying drinks for the house, throwing money around like he's king of the world. Keeps talking about some big business deal that's going to make him rich enough to upgrade his whole life. His words, not mine. Interesting. Rick's company has been losing money for months. Where's this confidence coming from? Any idea what kind of deal? Tommy shrugs. Something about a merger, maybe? He mentioned your company a few times. Said he was going to show that small-time punk how real business gets done. The pieces click into place. Rick isn't just sleeping with my wife. He's planning to destroy my company. Probably with Charlotte's help, using her legal expertise to find weaknesses in my corporate structure. Too bad for them. I've been 3 steps ahead of this game since day 1. Thanks, Tommy. I drop a 20 on the bar. Keep your ears open. This is just getting started. Back home, I dive into phase 2 with the focused intensity of a man who has nothing left to lose. First priority, protecting my assets. I spend the morning moving money between accounts, updating insurance policies, and making sure that everything important is in my name only. Charlotte may be a good lawyer, but I'm a better businessman, and I've had months to prepare for this moment. Second priority, gathering allies. I start making phone calls. My first call is to Janet Morrison, senior partner at Charlotte's law firm. We've met at various social functions over the years, and she's always struck me as a woman who values loyalty and professionalism above all else. Luke, how nice to hear from you. How's Charlotte? That's actually why I'm calling, Janet. I'm afraid I have some disturbing information about Charlotte's recent behavior that I think you should be aware of. Silence on the other end of the line. Then, what kind of information? The kind that involves conflicts of interest, ethical violations, and potential malpractice issues. Can we meet for lunch? We arranged to meet at noon. Janet sounds concerned, which is exactly what I was hoping for. My second call is to Detective Ray Landis at the Millbrook Police Department. Ray and my father served together in Vietnam, and he's been like an uncle to me since I was a kid. If things get ugly, and they will, I want law enforcement on my side. Luke, good to hear from you, son. How's business? Complicated, Ray. I need some advice about a situation I'm dealing with. Personal stuff. Come by the station this afternoon. We'll talk. My third call is to Danielle Kerr, Charlotte's paralegal. Danny is 28, smart, ambitious, and completely overlooked by everyone at the law firm. She's also, according to my research, Rick Dalton's ex-girlfriend from 5 years ago. A woman scorned with access to Charlotte's files and a very good reason to help me destroy both of them. Mr. Grady, is everything all right? Charlotte's been trying to reach you all morning. Everything's fine, Danny. I was actually hoping we could meet for coffee. There's a business opportunity I'd like to discuss with you. Business opportunity? The kind that could set you up for life, if you're interested in a little payback against people who've treated you badly. Long pause. Then, when and where? By the time I finish my calls, it's 11:30. Time to get dressed for lunch with Janet Morrison. I choose my best suit, the navy blue one Charlotte bought me for our anniversary last year. Ironic, considering what I'm about to use it for. But first, I have one more call to make. I dial Rick's direct line at Dalton Financial. He answers on the second ring, sounding harried and stressed. Rick Dalton. Rick, it's Luke Grady. We need to talk. Luke! His voice changes, becomes guarded. I'm pretty busy right now. Can this wait? No, it really can't. See, I know about you and Charlotte. I know about your little plan to destroy my company. And I know that by the end of this week, you're going to wish you'd never met my wife. Silence. Then, I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Here's what's going to happen, Rick. You're going to break things off with Charlotte. You're going to publicly apologize for any damage you've caused to my family. And you're going to transfer 3 of your biggest clients to my company as compensation. Rick laughs, but it sounds forced. You're out of your mind. Maybe. But I'm also the guy who's been systematically destroying your business for the past 4 months, while you were too busy screwing my wife to notice. Check your client list lately? Another silence, longer this time. I can practically hear him pulling up his accounts on his computer. You son of a witch. That's Mr. Son of a Witch to you, Rick. You have 24 hours to consider my offer. After that, things get really unpleasant. I hang up before he can respond. Through my office window, I can see old man Halverson working in his garden next door, probably listening to every word. The man's 85 years old and deaf as a post, but he somehow knows everything that happens in this neighborhood. He looks up, catches me watching, and gives me a thumbs up. Even the neighbors are on my side. Time for lunch with Janet Morrison. Time to start destroying Charlotte's career, one carefully placed word at a time. I grab my keys and head for the door, whistling. Janet Morrison chose Chez Laurent for our lunch meeting, the same restaurant where Charlotte and Rick have been conducting their affair. The irony isn't lost on me as I walk through the front door and spot Janet at a corner table. The same corner table where I photographed my wife holding hands with her lover just a week ago. Janet stands as I approach, offering her hand with the kind of firm grip that built her reputation as one of Maine's toughest attorneys. She's in her early 60s, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, wearing a suit that probably costs more than most people's cars. Everything about her screams competence and integrity. Luke, you look well. Though I have to say you sounded concerned on the phone. We sit down, and I wait until the waiter takes our drink orders before diving in. Janet orders a martini, which tells me she's taking this meeting seriously. In my experience, lawyers only drink during lunch when they're expecting bad news. Janet, what I'm about to tell you is going to be difficult to hear, but I think you need to know what's been happening with Charlotte. She leans forward slightly. I'm listening. I pull out my phone and show her the photograph from this very restaurant. Janet studies it for a long moment, her expression neutral. This is Charlotte and Rick Dalton. Yes, taken last Tuesday night, right here at this table. They've been meeting like this 3 times a week for the past 4 months. Janet hands the phone back to me. Luke, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention, but marital problems aren't really my concern unless they affect Charlotte's work performance. That's just it. They do affect her work performance. Rick Dalton is the CEO of a company that's been trying to acquire several of my clients. Charlotte has been using her access to my business records to help Rick target my most vulnerable accounts. Now I have her attention. Janet's martini sits untouched as she processes this information. That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? I slide a manila folder across the table. 3 months' worth of email records showing Charlotte accessing client files she has no business looking at. Credit card records showing Rick paying for dinners and hotels. And this, the last item, is a recording device, no bigger than a thumb drive. What is it? A conversation between Charlotte and Rick from last week recorded in Rick's office. Charlotte was there during business hours, supposedly working on a case, but actually discussing strategy for poaching my clients. Janet doesn't touch the device. How did you obtain this? Legally, Rick's office building has a public atrium where anyone can sit and work. The recording was made from there, capturing conversation that could be heard by anyone walking by. It's a lie, of course. The recording was made by Danielle Kerr using her keycard access to Rick's office, but Janet doesn't need to know that. Even if this is true, Luke, it's still a personal matter between you and Charlotte, unless there's evidence of actual malpractice. There is. I opened the folder to a specific page. Charlotte billed 47 hours last week to the Henderson account. But according to this recording, she spent Tuesday afternoon in Rick's office and Wednesday evening at his apartment. She's been padding her billable hours to cover for time spent on her affair. Janet's face goes pale. Billing fraud is a career-ending offense in the legal profession, grounds for disbarment and criminal charges. Luke, if this is true, it's true. And there's more. Charlotte's been using firm resources, computers, research databases, legal assistance, to help Rick's company. That's a clear conflict of interest, and it's cost your firm at least 3 potential clients who went to Rick instead. Our food arrives, but neither of us touches it. Janet stares at the folder like it contains a live snake. What do you want from me? I want Charlotte gone from your firm, today. I want her law license reviewed by the state bar, and I want it made clear to everyone in the legal community that Morrison, Klein, and Associates doesn't tolerate this kind of behavior. You're asking me to destroy her career. I'm asking you to do what you do to any other employee who committed billing fraud and ethical violations. The fact that she's my wife doesn't make her actions any less serious. Janet picks up her martini, takes a long sip. You know, Luke, in 30 years of practice, I've seen a lot of messy divorces. But this feels different. This feels like war. That's because it is war. Charlotte made the first move when she decided to betray our marriage and use her position to hurt my business. I'm just returning fire. And Rick Dalton? What's your plan for him? I smile and Janet actually flinches. Rick's about to learn that there are consequences for stealing another man's wife. By the end of this week, Dalton Financial will be a memory, and Rick will be lucky to find work managing a McDonald's. Luke? Janet's voice carries a note of warning. Be careful. Revenge has a way of consuming the people who pursue it. I'll take that risk. Janet closes the folder without looking at the rest of the contents. I'll need to verify this information independently. Of course, Danielle Kerr has copies of everything. She's been very helpful. Danny, Charlotte's paralegal? Rick's ex-girlfriend. Turns out she's been keeping detailed records of Charlotte's activities for months, hoping someone would eventually ask the right questions. Understanding dawns in Janet's eyes. You've been planning this for a long time. 4 months, ever since I first suspected the affair. I've been patient, methodical, and very, very careful. Everything I've done is completely legal and completely ruthless. Charlotte made her choice. Now she gets to live with the consequences. We finish lunch in relative silence. Janet asks a few more questions about the evidence, makes some notes, promises to have Charlotte's employment status resolved by the end of the day. As we're leaving, she puts a hand on my arm. Luke, I have to ask, is there any chance of reconciliation, any possibility of working this out without destroying everything? I think about Charlotte's face last night when I showed her the photograph, the cold calculation in her eyes, the complete absence of remorse or guilt. She wasn't sorry about the affair, she was sorry about getting caught. No, I tell Janet, there isn't. From Chez Laurent, I drive straight to the police station. Detective Ray Landis is waiting for me in his office, a cramped space that smells like coffee and old cigarettes. Ray is in his mid-50s, gray-haired, with the kind of weathered face that comes from 30 years of dealing with humanity's worst impulses. Luke, he gestures to a chair across from his desk. Your dad called me this morning, said you might be dealing with some trouble. The kind of trouble that might escalate into something criminal. Ray leans back in his chair. Tell me. I give him the abbreviated version. The affair, the business sabotage, my plans for retaliation. Ray listens without interruption, occasionally making notes on a legal pad. So far, everything you've described is civil, not criminal, he says when I finish. Messy as heck, but not illegal. I'm worried about Rick. He's arrogant and stupid, and when he realizes what I've done to his company, he might do something rash. Like what? Like threatening me, or Megan. Rick's the kind of man who blames everyone else for his problems. When his world starts falling apart, he's going to want someone to pay. Ray nods slowly. You want me to keep an eye on him. I want you to be ready. Because if Rick Dalton so much as looks at my daughter wrong, I'm going to stop playing nice. Luke, you need to be very careful here. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be, but if you cross the line from legal revenge into criminal behavior, I won't be able to help you. I understand. Do you? Because right now, you're walking a tightrope. You've got legal grounds for everything you're doing, but you're also systematically destroying two people's lives. That kind of thing has a way of spiraling out of control. I stand up to leave. Ray, Charlotte, and Rick made their choices. Now they get to live with the consequences. All I'm doing is making sure those consequences are appropriate. Just remember, son, when you set out for revenge, dig two graves. I'll keep that in mind. But as I walk back to my car, I'm not thinking about graves. I'm thinking about phase 3 of my plan and the phone call I need to make to Danielle Kerr. It's time to turn Rick's ex-girlfriend into my secret tool. Danielle Kerr is waiting for me at Starbucks on Main Street, sitting in a corner booth with a laptop and a stack of files. She looks nervous, constantly glancing around like she expects Charlotte to walk in at any moment. Danny is petite, dark-haired, with intelligent brown eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. The kind of woman who gets overlooked in a room full of lawyers, which has been her greatest asset and biggest frustration. Mr. Grady. She stands as I approach, offering her hand. Thank you for meeting me. Call me Luke, and thank you for agreeing to help. We sit down and I study her face. There's anger there, carefully controlled, but unmistakable. Good. Angry people make excellent allies as long as you point their rage in the right direction. Before we go any further, I say, I need to know why you're willing to do this. Why risk your career to help me? Danny's laugh is bitter. My career? You mean my job fetching coffee and filing papers while Charlotte takes credit for my research? Mr. Grady, Luke, I've been working at Morrison, Klein & Associates for 3 years. I have a law degree from Boston University, graduated summa cum laude, but I can't get hired as an associate because Charlotte keeps blocking my applications. Why would she do that? Because I know too much about her business practices. And because, Danny hesitates, then plunges ahead, because Rick told her about our relationship. You and Rick dated? For 2 years. I thought we were going to get married. Then Rick decided he needed someone with better social connections and dumped me for a judge's daughter. That lasted 6 months before he moved on to the next woman. Rick collects trophies, Luke. Your wife is just his latest acquisition. The pain in her voice is real, raw. Rick didn't just break up with her. He humiliated her, made her feel worthless. I file that information away for later use. What can you tell me about Charlotte's recent activities? Danny opens her laptop and pulls up a spreadsheet. For the past 4 months, Charlotte has been accessing client files she has no legitimate reason to see. Specifically, files related to your business and your major clients. She's been copying documents, printing emails, taking photographs with her phone. Do you have proof? Computer logs, security camera footage, copies of everything she copied? Danny slides a USB drive across the table. It's all on there. I pocket the drive. What else? Charlotte's been using firm resources to research corporate takeover strategies, bankruptcy law, and asset protection schemes. She's also been in contact with several of Rick's business associates, including some very questionable characters. What kind of questionable characters? The kind who specialize in industrial espionage and corporate sabotage. There's a man named Elliot Moore who's been to the office 3 times in the past month, always meeting with Charlotte in conference rooms with no security cameras. Elliot Moore. I recognize the name from my research on Rick's company. Ex-military, specializes in corporate security consulting, which is a polite way of saying he handles Rick's dirty work. Danny, I need you to do something for me, but it's going to be dangerous. She leans forward. What? I need you to get me a recording of Charlotte and Rick discussing their plans, something that proves they're working together to destroy my business. That could get me arrested. Not if we do it right. Rick's office building has a public conference room on the ground floor, available for rent by the hour. I'll arrange for Rick to meet Charlotte there tomorrow afternoon. You'll be there with a laptop, pretending to work with a recording app running. Danny considers this. What's in it for me? A job. As soon as this is over, I'm hiring you as Grady Tech's general counsel. Starting salary of $150,000 plus benefits and equity options. Her eyes widen. You're serious? Dead serious. You help me destroy Rick and Charlotte, and I'll give you the legal career you deserve. And if we get caught, we won't, because everything we're doing is completely legal. Public spaces, public conversations, public records. Rick and Charlotte are the ones breaking the law. Danny closes her laptop and extends her hand. You've got a deal. We spend the next hour going over the details. Danny will contact Rick this afternoon, claiming she has information about Charlotte's activities that he needs to hear. She'll suggest they meet at the public conference room to avoid being seen together at his office. Meanwhile, I'll make sure Charlotte knows about the meeting, probably by having someone accidentally mention it in her presence. As we're preparing to leave, Danny grabs my arm. Luke, there's something else you should know. Charlotte's been asking questions about Megan. Ice runs through my veins. What kind of questions? School schedules, after-school activities, which friends she spends time with. She's also been researching boarding schools, expensive ones in other states. The implication hits me like a physical blow. Charlotte is planning to take Megan away from me, probably as part of whatever endgame she and Rick have planned. When did this start? Last week, right after you confronted her about the affair. I stand up, my hands shaking with rage. Danny, I need you to monitor Charlotte's communications. If she makes any moves involving Megan, any moves at all, I need to know immediately. Of course! And Danny, if Charlotte or Rick try to contact my daughter directly or approach her at school, call the police first and me second. She nods, understanding the seriousness in my voice. Luke, they're not going to get away with this. No, I agree, they're not. I drive home through Millbrook's tree-lined streets, my mind racing. Charlotte's involvement was bad enough, but dragging Megan into this crosses a line I didn't even know existed. My daughter is 17 years old, focused on college applications and her future. She doesn't deserve to become a pawn in her mother's twisted game. My phone rings as I pull into my driveway. Charlotte. Luke, we need to talk. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Meet me at the house in an hour. Our house? You mean the house you ran away from last night? Don't be childish. This is important. Fine, 1 hour. I hang up and sit in my car for a moment, collecting my thoughts. Charlotte wants to meet, which means she's either ready to negotiate or ready to escalate. Given what Danny just told me about her interest in Megan, I'm betting on escalation. Time to prepare for war. I go inside and head straight to my office. The USB drive Danny gave me contains enough evidence to destroy Charlotte's legal career and send Rick to prison for corporate espionage. But I need more than evidence. I need leverage. I pull up Rick's financial records, which I've been monitoring for months. Dalton Financial is hemorrhaging money, losing clients faster than Rick can replace them. The company is 3 weeks away from bankruptcy, and Rick doesn't even know it yet. But I do. And now I'm going to use that knowledge to end this once and for all. I make 3 phone calls. The first is to my lawyer, updating him on the situation and making sure my divorce papers are ready to file. The second is to my accountant, authorizing him to freeze all joint accounts and credit cards. The third is to Megan's school, informing them that only I am authorized to pick up my daughter or make changes to her schedule. Then I sit back and wait for Charlotte to come home. When her car pulls into the driveway 58 minutes later, I'm ready. Charlotte walks into our house like she owns it, which I suppose she does, for now. She's changed clothes since this morning, trading her business suit for jeans and a sweater, trying to look casual and approachable. But I can see the tension in her shoulders, the way her eyes dart around the room, taking inventory. Thank you for agreeing to meet, she says, settling into the living room chair across from my spot on the couch. I think we both said some things last night that we regret. I don't regret anything I said last night. Her smile falters slightly. Luke, I know you're hurt and you have every right to be. What happened between Rick and me, it wasn't planned. It just happened. Nothing just happens, Charlotte. You made a choice. Every late dinner, every lie, every time you looked me in the eye and pretended to be faithful. Those were all choices. She leans forward, trying to look sincere. You're right. I made mistakes. But we can fix this, Luke. We can go to counseling, work through our problems, rebuild our marriage. Our marriage is over. It doesn't have to be. Think about Megan. Think about what a divorce would do to her. There it is. The threat I've been waiting for. What about Megan? She's at a crucial point in her life. College applications, SATs, planning her future. The last thing she needs is her parents going through an ugly divorce, fighting over custody, dragging her through court proceedings. I stand up and walk to the window, looking out at our quiet neighborhood. You're right. Megan doesn't deserve that. I'm so glad you see it that way. Which is why I've already filed for divorce and full custody. The silence behind me is deafening. When I turn around, Charlotte's mask has slipped completely. Her face is white with rage, her hands clenched into fists. You can't do that. I already did. Janet Morrison received your termination papers 3 hours ago. The state bar will be reviewing your license next week. And Rick, I smile. Rick's about to discover that his company is bankrupt. Charlotte stands up, her composure completely shattered. You bastard, you self-righteous, vindictive bastard. I'm vindictive? You've been systematically betraying our marriage and sabotaging my business for 4 months. You've been using firm resources to help Rick steal my clients. And now you're threatening to use our daughter as a tool in your twisted game. I never threatened Megan. Really? Then why have you been researching boarding schools? Why have you been asking about her schedule, her friends, her activities? Charlotte's face goes even paler. How did you know about that? Because unlike you, I have friends who are actually loyal to me. People who care enough to warn me when someone is planning to hurt my family. She starts pacing, her lawyer brain working frantically. Fine. You want to play hardball? Let's play hardball. I know things about your business that could destroy you. I know about the corners you've cut, the regulations you've bent, the clients you've poached using questionable methods. Go ahead. Tell me what you think you know. The Henderson account. You stole them from Morrison Financial by bribing their CFO. I laugh. Is that what Rick told you? Charlotte, I won the Henderson account by offering them better rates and superior service. Their CFO chose to work with me because Morrison Financial was overcharging them by 30%. The Patterson merger. You used inside information to undercut Rick's bid. Public information, available to anyone who bothered to read the SEC filings. Rick's bid was overpriced because he didn't do his homework. Charlotte stops pacing, her face flushed with frustration. You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you've thought of everything. I've had 4 months to think of everything. Well, you missed something important. She pulls out her phone and shows me a photograph. It's Megan, walking out of school with her best friend Sarah, completely unaware that someone is taking pictures. That was taken this afternoon, Charlotte says. By a private investigator Rick hired, a very thorough, very discreet private investigator who specializes in finding leverage. The rage that fills me is unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's cold, calculating, and absolutely vengeful. If you or Rick or anyone working for you goes near my daughter again, I will destroy you in ways you can't even imagine. You're in no position to make threats, Luke. Rick has resources you don't know about. People who can make your life very difficult if you don't back off. People like Elliot Moore? Charlotte's confidence wavers. How do you know about your meetings with Rick's pet thug? Because I know everything, Charlotte. I know about the industrial espionage, the corporate sabotage, the plans to frame me for securities fraud. I know about the offshore accounts Rick's been using to hide assets from his investors. I know about the bribes, the kickbacks, and the very illegal methods he's been using to steal clients. I pull out my phone and show her a photograph of her own, Charlotte, and Elliot Moore in a downtown parking garage, exchanging what looks like money for documents. This was taken yesterday afternoon by a very thorough, very discreet private investigator who specializes in documenting criminal activity. Charlotte stares at the photograph, her face cycling through shock, fear, and calculation. That's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like. Corporate espionage, conspiracy to commit fraud, and about 6 other felonies I can think of off the top of my head. She sinks back into her chair, finally understanding the scope of what she's facing. What do you want? I want you to end your relationship with Rick immediately. I want you to cooperate fully with the divorce proceedings. I want you to sign over full custody of Megan without a fight. And I want you to disappear from our lives. And if I don't, then I turn this evidence over to the FBI, the SEC, and the IRS. Rick goes to prison for 20 years, and you go with him. Megan grows up knowing that both her parents are criminals. Charlotte is quiet for a long time, staring at her hands. When she finally looks up, there are tears in her eyes, but I can't tell if they're real or calculated. I never meant for it to go this far. But it did go this far, and now you have to live with the consequences. Luke, please, I know I've made mistakes, but I'm still Megan's mother. Don't take her away from me. You took yourself away from her the moment you chose Rick over your family. My phone buzzes with a text message. It's from Danny. Meeting set for tomorrow at 2 p.m., conference room B at the Millbrook Business Center. I'll be there with recording equipment. I look up at Charlotte, who's watching me with desperate eyes. Tomorrow afternoon, you're going to meet with Rick one last time. You're going to tell him that it's over between you. You're going to warn him that I have evidence of his criminal activities, and that his only chance of avoiding prison is to leave town immediately. Why would I do that? Because if you don't, I'll make sure that photograph of Megan finds its way to every news outlet in the state, along with the story of how Rick Dalton hired thugs to threaten a 17-year-old girl. Charlotte closes her eyes, finally defeated. Fine, I'll meet with Rick. Good. And Charlotte, this is your last chance to do the right thing. Don't waste it. She stands up, gathering what's left of her dignity. You know, Luke, I used to think you were weak. Too nice, too trusting, too willing to see the best in people. I was wrong. Yes, you were. She walks to the front door, then turns back. What happens after tomorrow? After tomorrow, you start over somewhere else. New city, new job, new life, away from me and away from Megan. And if I refuse? I smile and she actually takes a step backward. Then you'll discover that I'm not nearly as nice as you thought I was. After Charlotte leaves, I sit in my living room for a long time, thinking about tomorrow. Phase 3 of my plan is almost complete. By this time tomorrow evening, Rick Dalton will be finished, Charlotte will be gone, and my daughter will be safe. But first, I have one more call to make. I dial Detective Ray Landis. Ray, it's Luke. I need you to be at the Millbrook Business Center tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 p.m., Conference Room B. What's happening? The end of the war. The next afternoon, I'm sitting in my car across the street from the Millbrook Business Center, watching people come and go through the glass doors. It's 1:45 p.m., and the final act of my carefully orchestrated revenge is about to begin. Danielle Kerr arrived 20 minutes ago, carrying a laptop bag and looking every inch the busy professional. She's set up in Conference Room B with recording equipment disguised as standard business tools, a pen that's actually a microphone, a tablet that's running audio capture software, a phone positioned to record video. At 1:50, Rick's silver BMW pulls into the parking lot. He gets out slowly, looking around nervously, clearly uncomfortable with meeting in such a public place. He's dressed in an expensive suit, but I can see the stress in his posture, the way he keeps checking his phone. Rick's company has been hemorrhaging clients all week. 3 of his biggest accounts jumped ship to my firm on Monday. 2 more followed on Tuesday. By my calculations, Dalton Financial has maybe a week left before complete collapse. At 1:55, Charlotte arrives in her white Mercedes. She sits in the car for a moment, probably steeling herself for what's about to happen. When she finally gets out, she looks composed, professional, every inch the successful attorney. But I know her well enough to see the tension in her movements. They meet at the building entrance, exchange a few words, then disappear inside. I give them 5 minutes to get settled, then follow. The Millbrook Business Center is a modern glass and steel building designed for exactly this kind of meeting. Neutral territory where business people can conduct sensitive negotiations away from their offices. I take the elevator to the second floor and position myself in the public seating area where I can see Conference Room B through the glass walls. Charlotte and Rick are sitting across from each other at a conference table. Danny is at a smaller table near the window, apparently working on her laptop, completely ignored by both of them. Perfect. I can't hear what they're saying, but their body language tells the story. Rick is agitated, gesturing angrily. Charlotte is trying to calm him down, but she looks scared. This isn't going the way either of them expected. My phone buzzes with a text from Danny. Recording in progress. Rick is furious about losing clients. Charlotte trying to convince him to give up and leave town. Another text. Rick refusing to back down. Says he has nuclear option that will destroy you. I smile. Let him try. At 2:15, the conference room door opens and Elliot Moore walks in. Rick's enforcer is a big man, ex-military, with the kind of cold eyes that have seen too much violence. He whispers something to Rick, who nods and looks more confident. This is the moment I've been waiting for. I pull out my phone and make 2 calls. The first is to Detective Ray Landis. They're all here, Conference Room B, second floor. You might want to hurry. The second call is to the FBI field office in Portland. This is Lucas Grady. I have information about an ongoing corporate espionage operation involving Rick Dalton of Dalton Financial Group. Then I sit back and watch the show. Through the glass walls, I can see the conversation getting more heated. Rick is on his feet now, pacing back and forth. Charlotte looks terrified. Elliot Moore is standing by the door like a guard. Danny continues typing on her laptop, recording everything. At 2:25, Detective Landis steps off the elevator with 2 uniformed officers. I stand up and wave them over. Luke, Ray's voice is grim. This better be good. It's better than good. It's justice. I lead them to conference room B and knock on the glass door. All 4 people inside turn to look at us. Rick's face goes white. Charlotte looks like she might faint. Elliot Moore's hand moves toward his jacket, then stops when he sees the uniforms. Ray opens the door. Mr. Dalton, Mr. Moore, we need to have a conversation. About what? Rick's voice is shaky, but he's trying to maintain his composure. About corporate espionage, conspiracy to commit fraud, and making threats against a minor. Rick looks at Charlotte, who refuses to meet his eyes. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Ray pulls out a tablet and shows Rick a photograph. The same image of Charlotte and Elliot Moore exchanging money for documents that I showed Charlotte yesterday. This was taken 3 days ago. Care to explain what's happening here? Elliot Moore steps forward. I want a lawyer. Smart man. Ray nods to the uniformed officers who move to flank Moore. Mr. Dalton, you're going to want to come with us for questioning. This is harassment. Rick's composure finally cracks. Luke Grady is trying to frame me because I'm sleeping with his wife. The words hang in the air like a confession. Ray looks at Charlotte, who's staring at the table, her face red with shame. Ma'am, are you Charlotte Grady? She nods without looking up. We're going to need to speak with you as well. As the police escort Rick and Elliot Moore toward the elevator, Rick turns back to me with pure hatred in his eyes. This isn't over, Grady. You have no idea who you're messing with. Actually, Rick, I know exactly who I'm messing with. A failed businessman, a serial cheater, and a would-be criminal who's about to spend the next 20 years in federal prison. The elevator doors close on Rick's furious face. Charlotte stands up slowly, gathering her purse and briefcase. She looks older somehow, diminished. Luke, Save it. I don't have any sympathy left for her. Your lawyer will contact mine about the divorce proceedings. What about Megan? What about her? She's my daughter. She'll stay with me, go to college, build a life for herself. Without you. Charlotte's eyes fill with tears. She's my daughter, too. You should have thought about that before you chose Rick over your family. She walks toward the elevator, then stops. You know, Luke, I never loved him. Rick was just exciting, different. A break from the routine of our marriage. That's supposed to make me feel better? It's supposed to explain why I threw away 18 years for something that meant nothing. It doesn't explain anything, Charlotte. It just makes it worse. The elevator doors close behind her, and she's gone. I turn to Danny, who's been quietly packing up her recording equipment. Did you get everything? She nods. Every word. Rick admitted to corporate espionage, conspiracy to commit fraud, and making threats against Megan. Charlotte admitted to helping him. It's all on tape. Good. Send copies to Detective Landis, the FBI, and my lawyer. Already done. We walk to the elevator together. As we wait for it to arrive, Danny looks at me with something like awe. Luke, that was incredible. You orchestrated this entire thing like a chess master. I had good help. What happens now? Now Rick goes to prison, Charlotte starts over somewhere else, and I focus on being the best father I can be to Megan. And your offer? The job as general counsel? I smile. Report to work Monday morning. We have a company to build. The elevator arrives, and we ride down in comfortable silence. Outside, the afternoon sun is shining, and Millbrook looks like the peaceful small town it pretends to be. My phone rings. Megan. Dad? I heard Mom got arrested. Is that true? Word travels fast in a small town. She's being questioned by the police. It's complicated, sweetheart. Are you okay? Such a simple question, but it hits me harder than anything else that's happened today. My 17-year-old daughter is worried about me, even though her world is falling apart. I'm okay, Megan. Are you? I think so. I mean, I knew something was wrong between you and Mom. I just didn't know it was this bad. Do you want me to pick you up from school? We can talk. Yeah, I'd like that. As I drive toward Megan's school, I think about the past 4 months, the planning, the scheming, the careful orchestration of Rick and Charlotte's downfall. It's been exhausting, consuming, and completely necessary. But it's over now. Rick Dalton will spend the next 2 decades in federal prison. Charlotte will be disbarred, bankrupted, and exiled from the only life she's ever known. Their conspiracy to destroy my business and steal my daughter has collapsed completely. I've won. So why don't I feel better about it? The answer comes to me as I pull into the school parking lot and see Megan waiting by the front entrance. She looks so young, so vulnerable, so completely innocent of the adult world's capacity for betrayal and revenge. I've spent 4 months becoming someone I barely recognize, calculating, ruthless, capable of destroying lives with surgical precision. I told myself it was necessary, that I was protecting my family and my business. And maybe that's true. But I also enjoyed it. The planning, the manipulation, the moment when Rick realized he'd been outmaneuvered by someone he thought was weak. I enjoyed watching Charlotte's world crumble, enjoyed the fear in her eyes when she finally understood what she was facing. That should worry me. But it doesn't. Megan gets in the car and buckles her seatbelt. Dad, what's going to happen now? Now we go home. We order pizza. We talk about your college applications and your future and all the good things that are coming your way. What about Mom? I look at my daughter. Brilliant, beautiful, completely untainted by the ugliness that consumed her parents' marriage. Your mother made some very bad choices, sweetheart. Now she has to live with the consequences. Do you hate her? The question surprises me with its directness. Do I hate Charlotte? After everything she's done, everything she tried to do? No, I realize. I don't hate her, I'm just done with her. Megan nods like this makes perfect sense. Good, hate is too much work. Smart girl? Too smart sometimes. As we drive home through Millbrook's quiet streets, I think about the future. Rick Dalton is finished, his company bankrupt, his reputation destroyed, his freedom forfeit. Charlotte is gone, her legal career over, her marriage ended, her relationship with her daughter probably damaged beyond repair. And me? I'm a single father with a successful business, a brilliant daughter, and a reputation as someone you don't want to cross. I've learned things about myself over the past 4 months. Things about my capacity for patience, planning, and ruthless execution when someone threatens my family. I've become dangerous, and I'm okay with that. Because the next person who tries to hurt my daughter or destroy my life will discover what Rick and Charlotte learned too late. I'm not the nice, trusting, forgiving man they thought they knew. I'm the storm that comes after someone makes the mistake of betraying me, and I'm just getting started. 2 hours later, Megan and I are sitting at our kitchen table, sharing pizza and talking about her college essay. She's applying to MIT, Harvard, and Stanford, all schools that would have been financially impossible if Rick and Charlotte's plan to bankrupt me had succeeded. But their plan didn't succeed. My plan did. My phone buzzes with a text from Detective Ray Landis. Rick Dalton and Elliot Moore in custody. Federal charges pending. Charlotte's cooperating in exchange for immunity. Case closed. I delete the message and turn my attention back to my daughter. Dad? Megan looks up from her essay. I'm proud of you. For what? For fighting back, for protecting us, for not letting them win. I reach across the table and squeeze her hand. I love you, sweetheart. I love you too, Dad. Outside, the sun is setting over Millbrook, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. It's been a long day, the culmination of a longer war, but the war is over now, and I've won. Rick Dalton learned that stealing another man's wife comes with consequences. Charlotte learned that betraying your family destroys more than just a marriage. And I learned that when someone threatens everything you care about, there's no limit to what you're capable of. The nice guy didn't finish last this time. The storm finished first.